So
Floyd Mayweather, his dad fought Sugar Ray Leonard. Awesome.
Yeah, Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Mayweather Sr. was awesome.
Yeah, you forget that he's a junior.
Yeah.
And he's the greatest fighter, possibly the greatest boxer of all time.
In my book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, watching him roll that shoulder and just absolutely destroy people.
If you just look at boxing in terms of like how often you get hit versus how often you hit the other guy, he's the best ever.
Madonna, yeah. If you watch that fight, he's up on the cards early, and you watch Mayweather breathe it out and just refocus, and you're like, that's what you get from growing up around all that shit. You can focus in and...
But he always has an amazing card. Madonna cracked him. He caught him. He was one of the few guys that actually hit Floyd in his career. It was like Sugar Shane Mosley hit him once, pretty good, and Madonna hit him once, and it was the end of a round, and he clipped him, and Floyd wobbled a little, and the round was over. But it was like, whoa, like... That dude could hit.
And then he just came back and walked him down.
Yeah, and then the second fight they had was even better.
Yeah.
The second fight they had, it was a shutout. He's like, I know exactly what you do.
Yeah.
And this time I'm ready for it, and I'm still mad that you hit me in that
Can you
first
imagine having
fight.
the best guy mad at you for hitting you, and you're like, dude, I don't know, I have to.
Floyd is just the best technician ever.
Yeah.
His technique, it's flawless. His movement, his understanding of distance. One of the funniest things that he ever did was he fought this, there's this guy who, Tenshin, who is he's a huge star in Japan in martial arts, kickboxing and stuff like that, but he's a smaller guy. But he's like a very exciting young prospect. And they paid Floyd to box him. This guy fights at like maybe 130 pounds.
Okay.
He's a small guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
so he's smaller than Floyd.
Yeah, he's a lot smaller than Floyd. I mean, I want to say he maybe fights 136. I'm not sure.
I love that.
He's not very big.
Just a fucking squirrely guy that can get in there and
but
pick your
Floyd's
shit up.
way bigger than that.
Yeah.
And Floyd didn't even look like he worked out at all. He walked in there with a big smile on his face. He didn't particularly look fit. He didn't look ripped.
Yeah.
And he just beat the fuck out of this dude. He beat the fuck bad that people thought it was a fixed fight. They were calling me up, dude, you got to see this fixed fight. Floyd Mayweather was involved in a fixed fight. And I watched it, I go, that's not fixed.
Yeah.
That's what happened to you, bitch. If Floyd hit you, you would go down like that. But Floyd is a technician. Yeah. Floyd's not like a one-punch, just smash everybody guy. He finds his spots, picks you apart, and fucks you up.
Yeah.
That takes time.
Floyd's undefeated too, but he's not the greatest boxer of all time, right?
It's arguable he is. It's arguable he is.
I don't think so.
Listen, man.
I feel like he is. He's my favorite.
He's been hit hard maybe 4 times his whole fucking career.
Right.
You stop and think about how many fights he fought against
great
elite
defense.
guys.
Amazing.
Not just great defense, like the best defense of all time.
Yeah.
You're talking about a guy who's fought everybody. He fought everybody. He fought Canelo. He fought Pacquiao. Maybe he didn't fight Pacquiao when he was in his prime. And maybe he fought Canelo when he was young and made him cut extra weight. He did some smart shit. But at the end of the day...
That's part of being a fighter, though, right?
Yeah, at the end of the day, the fucking guy's 50 or 49 in Conor McGregor. Right. That's what he is. That's what I say.
49 Conor.
Yeah, because it's kind of weird.
Yeah, but
it's kind of weird.
Somebody like Sugar Ray Robinson. You know, Sugar Ray Robinson.
Different.
Yeah, that's different time. What
he's lost it, right?
Yeah. He lost 15.
I think Sugar Ray Robinson had somewhere in the neighborhood of 90 plus victories before his first defeat, though. What is how many? Let's find that out.
His first defeat wasn't it to Jake LaMotta?
Jake LaMotta. Maybe.
How old was he? Was he out of his prime?
No,
that might have been his first defeat. No,
he got knocked out.
He got knocked out. Yeah,
no, by LaMotta. I thought he got knocked out by Billy Conn.
No, Jake LaMotta knocked him out.
Jake
LaMotta.
I don't think
me and names are terrible. So it's like
I think he beat him in a decision in the first fight, and then Robinson beat the shit out of him in the second fight.
No.
Really?
Sugar Ray Robinson. They fought 6 times. And Robinson won them.
Knocked him out.
Robinson fought him, beat him at the first time, and I think in the rematch is when Jake LaMotta
knocked him out. I don't remember that.
And then in the 6th fight, he TKO'd Jake, but it was a standing TKO, and he never got knocked off of his feet.
Right.
And and he was talking shit to, well, you stopped me, but you didn't never put me down. Never.
Yeah. His record, Sugar Ray Robinson.
His record's like 200 almost 200 fights. Crazy.
That's crazy. Why can't we get that many fights?
250, something like that?
How come we can't get that many fights in MMA?
Oh, it's more than that.
Well, in boxing, his 200th fight was, look at that, 173, 19-6 against Joey Archer. That's his 200th fight.
He really is the GOAT.
I think he's the GOAT. It's a different era. Here's the thing. It's like, when you look at Mike Tyson when he was in it, we just had this conversation yesterday on the podcast, but I think Mike Tyson in his prime, when he knocked out Larry Holmes, when he starched Marvis Frazier, like when he was just smashing everybody, I think he had reached this level that you can only maintain for a certain amount of years.
Yeah.
You know, whether like I think the same thing you could say for Fedor when he was in his prime, when he was running things in Pride.
Yeah.
There's a level that you could reach that you can only maintain for a certain amount of years, and it's real hard because I think this is what I said yesterday. I think if Muhammad Ali had been in the same era as Mike Tyson, he would have been better because Mike Tyson was around. You get better dependent upon who's around you. And when you're in an era, you're kind of defined by your competition. Ali was defined by Joe Frazier and defined by George Foreman and all the guys that he fought. Ken Norton, all those guys that he fought in his era. But it's a different era with Tyson. It's a different era
but you're
now.
also forgetting that he beat, Floyd Patterson. It's like before, like all the fights that he had before he, came back. But those just weren't competitive.
Right.
He was so fast. He hit so hard. Beating Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston's,
he was
big.
a murderer back then.
Yeah, he's freaking
killer.
It's like
he destroyed Floyd Patterson
twice.
Yeah,
twice in the first round, right?
He was you couldn't get hit by him. You just couldn't get hit by him.
Yeah,
he had giant fucking hands.
A guy that was close to the mafia. It's like and. So he beat all those guys, it's like, and it's like, so maybe if he doesn't have that 3 years off, maybe, who knows? But he did. But he did.
And it's also, he was a different cultural figure, right? Because when you look at like his impact on society and civilization, he stood for something.
Right.
He was a guy who was like, I'm not going to fight in this fucking war. It doesn't make any sense. They took his title away from him and the people loved him.
Yeah.
It's a different scene.
Well, you had about 50% of the population hated him.
Right.
And then 50% of the population loved him and thought he was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
And, it's like, I ain't going over there to fight any Viet Cong. They didn't do anything to me.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting, figure. And then you got somebody like, Joe Frazier, very, very good fighter, won the Olympic gold medal, was an alternate going into the Olympics. And the alternate, I forget what happened over there. He ended up not fighting. Joe fought. He won the Olympic gold medal. They actually rematched as pros. And then Joe stopped him, fourth or fifth round.
Wow.
But he was a beast, and then George Foreman, it's like, that's a guy that didn't ever put on a pair of gloves till he was, I think, 19 years old, right?
That's crazy.
It's like 19 years old. Think about that. There's just not that many guys that have, it's never put on a pair of gloves till they're 19 years old and then get to that level.
Well, that's the Deontay Wilder story too,
Is it?
Yeah, Deontay Wilder boxed for a year and a half before he won a bronze medal in the Olympics.
Yeah, you just don't know.
He was faster than everybody. The thing about Mike Tyson as a knockout fighter, if you watch like the Marvis Frazier fight, or
I don't think he was faster than Muhammad Ali though.
I don't think he was faster.
Muhammad's feet were so fast because
I don't think he was faster than Ali.
You got to think back to when he fought Sonny Liston or when he fought Floyd Patterson. Right. You got to think of how his feet were then.
But the 3 years afterwards, I think he was faster than when he fought. Like when he came back.
You think that Mike Tyson was faster than that version of him? Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but Ali was a different animal. Like no one had been around before him that was a heavyweight that moved like that. They didn't exist.
Well, Andy had probably the best chin ever.
Oh, an amazing.
He wasn't that heavy for a heavyweight though, right?
No,
he fought. No. He the Olympic gold medal he won was cruiserweight.
Was it?
Yeah, he didn't fight at heavyweight. He moved up to heavyweight for when he turned pro.